And we're starting in Tunisia, where President Kais Saied has named Nalia Boudem Rouhani as the country's first female prime minister, nearly 2 months after he seized most powers for himself in a move his foes alleged to be a coup. Now, Rouhani, a little-known university engineer who worked with the World Bank, will take office at the time of national crisis, with the democratic gains won in 2011 revolution in doubt as a major threat looms over public finances in the country.
Now, President Saied dismissed the previous prime minister, suspended parliament and assumed wide executive powers in July, and has been under growing domestic and international pressure to form a new government. Now, he named Rouhani under provisions he announced last week and has asked her to form a new government in the coming hours or days.
قررت تكليفكم بتشكيل حكومة جديدة، وسيكون هذا لأول مرة في تاريخ تونس. لأول مرة امرأة تتولى رئاسة حكومة.
All right, so that's President Kais Saied of Tunisia. Don't forget he suspended parliament just about 2 months ago in the country. Yes, which sparked lots of protests, well, for and against. People talked about the country's the deafening COVID-19 crisis and corruption and allegations, and perhaps supported the president's move to suspend parliament. But now he's named Nalia Boudem Rouhani as the new prime minister. Now, she was born in 1958. She's an engineer by profession and a professor of higher education at the National Engineering School of Tunis at Tunis El Mouna University, that's in the capital, having specialized in geosciences. Now, she has a PhD from École du Mines in Paris and earthquake engineering. Her work has focused in seismic hazards in Tunisia, in Tunis.
Right, now that's Rouhani, and she was also the head of the Management of Objectives Unit for the implementation of the Higher Education Reform Project in the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research from the year 2016 up until 29th of September 2021. Now, she was appointed Prime Minister of Tunisia just yesterday, 29th of September 2021, making her the first female prime minister in the Arab world. Now, she previously served in the Ministry of Higher Education in 2011.
All right, so she's no stranger when it comes to being close quarters in government and power. But prime minister is quite a high office, and even made more controversial given what we saw from President Kais Saied in the last couple of weeks, where he came out even last week saying that he was still going to stay in power. Don't forget, people have called perhaps for an election or perhaps for reforms. But now that he's called a new prime minister, will that really quell the agitations about accusing him of, basically being a coup man or seizing power for himself in the country? That is the big question. All right. Well, the World Bank has declared President Muhammadu Buhari's $750 million COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus program as effective. Now, this was announced in a statement made by the Buhari, the Federal CARES Technical Committee chairman, yesterday.
Now, the NG CARES program is one of the strategic actions being made to achieve the presidential mandate of lifting 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years.
Now, each of the 36 states of the Federation will get a nominal allocation of $20 million, while the Federal Capital Territory will get $15 million under the program for results financing instrument of the World Bank. Well, joining us on Breakfast Central this morning to really discuss this and break this down is Austin Nweze, economist, faculty, that's the Pan-Atlantic University, Lagos. Dr. Austin Nweze, good morning to you. Welcome to Breakfast Central. Now, in this statement by Buhari, he explained that the global financial institution indicates that President Buhari's regime had met all the conditions for eligibility for the credit line here. So what do you make of this claim, first of all?
Well, it's quite... One is that, if the money, the loan that has been taken is for a good reason, then it is okay. But we have seen that in 6 years, or more than 6 years, you've not been able to produce 1 million jobs, and they want to produce 100 million jobs in the remaining part of the year. And it's baffling. The debt ratio is quite high, and I know that the World Bank will never say no because it's a sovereign loan. All they want is get the states. Anyone that wants to borrow they will not be able to do. All right, and they can give anybody the loan, but again, what about the future? Okay, what does the future hold for us? Okay, so if the future is very big for Nigeria, and taking this loan will not make anything, is to compound our problem. All right, so if you do the math, you discover if you do the math, you discover that the children yet unborn will have a debt overhang of close to 2 million for every citizen, and you use 98% of your revenue to service the debt. It doesn't make sense. Okay, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So the government should look inward.
Right. Now, I mean, Dr. Austin, you have said quite a lot. We also understand that under the watch of President Muhammadu Buhari, the World Bank listed Nigeria among the 10 countries with high debt risk exposure. What can this loan at this time do to Nigeria's economy, Dr. Austin?
It will worsen the whole situation. Even the World Bank said that Nigeria among the 10 nations. So the question is, why are they still giving Nigeria more loans? Okay, after warning, that shows that, in the geopolitics, the global geopolitics, you discover that the Western nations use loans to achieve other things, which, time will not permit us to begin to talk about now. All right? So because they are making money, creating more jobs, okay? And the Nigerians are the ones paying for it. No job is a high risk, and no further loan should be given to Nigeria. If I were a World Bank, I wouldn't give Nigeria any more loans. Let them go and look inwards, and then manage the resources that they have to be able to come out of this situation. We can look inwards. We can look inward and begin to look at things. It's not every problem that you throw money at, and that's what they're doing. Yes, Nigeria is broke because of the extravagant spending of the present administration. Okay, throwing money at things that they're supposed to throw money at. So they should be thinking. They should right now sit down at the table, get some eggheads that can think critically to be able to come out for Nigeria to come out of this mess. Because for as long as we keep borrowing, the World Bank will keep giving you loans, and you keep, is the future of the, unborn children that you're mortgaging. Okay? And that was why Obasanjo, in his own wisdom, was able to get out of debt. You cannot develop. The major challenge we have is with a lot of debt overhang. We cannot develop the economy. You cannot build infrastructure for the people. You cannot take care of the healthcare, education. What are you going to do with 2% of your revenue when 98% goes to servicing debt? Okay? So not much development can come in. That's the major challenge we have.
All right, Dr. Austin. Well, the risk of debt exposure, clearly the big question. And now, back in June, the National Bureau of Statistics reported that federal and state governments were even owing as much as 33.11 trillion in public debts as of March 31st this year. Now there is even just approved the loan of 750 million from the World Bank. Would people like experts like yourself might say that the debt spree might be mortgaging Nigeria's future? But Dr. Austin, there has to be some light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, this administration has been borrowing, which clearly is the normal climb right now. But beyond that, what do we then have to do? If we say we're looking inwards, how do we then generate more revenue when basically we're still slaves to the dollar and oil?
Well, what we should do now is to look at the critical areas of the economy and know which one can generate more funds. I know that the quick mention will be oil. But again, what are we doing about oil? The research, okay? Are we building, you know, because you talk about oil, we are still importing refined petrol. Okay, so we need to look at the short term, look at the low-hanging fruits, look at the medium term, look at the long term, look at the critical areas of the economy to know which one will generate more funds immediately, and then which one will not generate enough funds for the longer term. So we need to block all the expenditures for foreign exchange. Okay, we need to look at it. Okay, and again, I know that part of the reason why the currency is 500 and something to $1 and all that, it's a wrong strategy, because we are not exporting the much as we could. When you have a strategy of exports to be able to generate more this thing, then you can lower your currency and export more so that your goods can compete out there. The Nigerian goods are not competing out there. Okay, so the important thing is that there should be a short-term and a medium-term and a long-term thing. So let's see what hanging fruits. Let them sit down around the table and know the low-hanging fruit, the critical areas of the economy that could easily be, you know, which one should we block the loopholes, and then which one can we generate enough funds to service. I mean, these are debts, not to go and borrow. The more you borrow, you have the more risk you take that the economy is going to collapse. And you are not going to stop borrowing in order to come out of it. You can't borrow yourself out of the bad economy. Right. You need to stop borrowing and look inward and see there are several areas that we can look at. We can look at the area of our agriculture, increase the value chain. We can look at the area of ICT and increase the value chain.
Sorry.
And see some of these areas that we can take care of.
Well, thank you so much for your time, sir. Dr. Austin Weze, national commentator, political economist, and economist at the Faculty of Pan-Atlantic University. Well, we hope that the spirit of borrowing and the fruits of debt will leave Nigeria very soon. Thank you so much, Dr. Weze, once again for your time. We go to East Africa now, in Ethiopia, where the country's women minister, Filsan Abdullahi Ahmed, has resigned. Now, in February, Filsan was first official to be acknowledged that rape had taken place in the ongoing war in the northern region of Tigray.
Now, the war, which has lasted for 10 months, is between the government forces and rebels. Now, in a statement, I quote, "Now, for reasons of personal nature that weigh heavily on my conscience, I regretfully submit my letter of resignation, effective immediately." Joining us now is our News Central East African correspondent. But before Abdinor joins us, I mean, this is coming at a time where Ethiopia is going through quite a lot, especially the Tigray region. We've had women who have come out to give reports of how they were raped by soldiers in that region. I mean, we've gotten information and reports that says that even the aid buses and vehicles that have gone to the Tigray region to actually supply them food and water have been unable to return for more supplies. I mean, when it comes to the Tigray region, we know how sensitive. We know the number of 30, when it comes to numbers, 30,000
and it continues.
Children highly malnourished.
It rises and rises. So the big question is her resignation from current government led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. What does it mean? Don't forget, she has been looked at one of the faces of the parliament in Ethiopia. She's young, educated, and also having government. So more like the people that were put in the government and gave them some sort of legitimacy in Abiy Ahmed's government in the last couple of years. But citing her reasons for then resigning, many are saying, well, is she now perhaps exposing the government to now accept the claims of, you know, war and rape being used as a weapon of war against women in Ethiopia and also in the Tigray region? That is a big question. So a huge slap now on the government of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed out there in Ethiopia.
The next question will be who will occupy that position. Let's not forget that she is she was the Minister of Women Affairs. She was also the minister. That same portfolio covers women, children, and youth in Ethiopia. Now that's quite a sensitive portfolio for anybody to step down from. More importantly, who will take over? Remembering, Olisa, that Tigray region is the major focus in Ethiopia here because of the unsettlement that has been going on for 10 months and counting.
All right, and also Ethiopia will be preparing for more elections to come in the coming months. But Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed clearly had a bit of, many will say, a landslide in some of the elections that we saw, parliamentary elections around the country, even in his own constituency where people said they didn't even vote for him. And elections did not even hold in Tigray, based on the fact that we're still trying to get humanitarian aid into those regions of the country regarding the kind of war crimes people are accusing them of having in the country. Many thanks for watching. It's Breakfast Central on News Central on the 30th day of September 2021, and it's a Thursday. Olisa and Oluchi for you. Lots that we have been looking at this morning on the program with our top stories, and we started in Tunisia, where the president of the country, Kais Saied, has clearly elected and appointed a new prime minister, none other than that woman there who's a professor in engineering, to take over proceedings. Well, he sacked his former prime minister, but his new prime minister is a woman.
Well, let's see just how well she performs in the coming days or months, as it were. We also talked about World Bank declaring President Muhammadu Buhari's $750 million COVID-19 Action, Recovery and Economic Stimulus Program as effective. And we also took on the program and we spoke about how he plans to lift up 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years.
Well, that's an analysis. You want to catch us later in our news bulletins, because we had Austin Weiser, who is a political economist and commentator from the Pan-Atlantic University, to give more thoughts on perhaps getting Nigeria out of more debt. Also, big story from Ethiopia as it came out after the resignation, quite a surprising one, from the 29-year-old Minister of Women Affairs, Filsan Abdullahi Ahmed, who resigns, citing reasons for personal nature that weigh heavily on her conscience, regretfully submitting her resignation letter effectively. So what does that mean for the government of Abiy Ahmed? That is a big question we're looking to follow in Ethiopia.